All right, y'all, this is a lot of review just over this area term. You have for sure seen area in the past, but we're going to do a real quick review over area on squares, rectangles, and triangles today. The main thing is I want to remember that area is measured in square units. So a lot of times we'll see like inches squared or meters squared or centimeters squared, because what we're doing is multiplication, something times another something. And so area is the space inside my square or rectangle or my figure. And so in order to calculate that space inside a figure, we're going to do some multiplication. Area of squares and rectangles is essentially the length, which is often called that L, times the width, W, L times W. And so when I see this square and I want to know the area inside, all I'm doing is 9 times 9, which is 81. And I would write 81 inches squared. My rectangle, my length over here is 18 yards. My width over here is 8 yards. And so I would take 8 times 18, and I would get 144 yards squared. And that would be my answer. You should be able to do the next two on your own. For number 1 and number 2. Number 3, we're going to need to do some subtraction. Number 3, after you do number 1 and 2, number 3, I have this space inside, 10 times 10, which is 100 inches squared. And that's kind of the white part. And then my shaded region is 24 times 12, which is 288 inches squared. And so if I want to know, well, that's actually my total, right? Total. That's my total. So if I want to know what's in the shaded area, I would need to take that, essentially this total minus 100. And so 288 minus 100 is 188 inches squared. Let's go ahead and flip to the other side and talk about the area of a triangle. The area of a triangle, my formula, A equals 1/2 my base times my height. This B is for base, and that H stands for height. And when I'm talking about base and height, here's my base and height. So base is this length across the bottom. This whole length across the bottom is my base. My height is, of course, the distance from the base to my top point. So this is my height. And so when I'm calculating area, I'm going to take this down here, my base, times my height, and then cut it in half. And so when I have 1/2 B times H, area is 1/2 B times H. So area is 1/2 14 times 12. And I would multiply this first. 14 times 12. And you get 168. But then I want to take half of that because it's not a whole square rectangle, it's half of that, it's my triangle. So I'm going to divide that by 2. And that's how I get my final area of 84 feet squared for that triangle. So base times height divided by 2. That might be a little note that you might want to write to yourself. Base times height divided by 2. Let's go ahead and label number 1. If I'm looking at this one, I have my base is 30 and my height is 16. So if I want to find the area, I'm going to have 1/2 times 30 times 16. So again, I would type into my calculator 30 times 16 and get 480. But then I would take 480 and divide it by 2. And that's how I get my area of 240 inches squared. Complete number 2 and number 3 on your own. Then there's a quick assignment in Google Classroom, and it is a quizzes link to calculate area for squares, rectangles, and triangles.